This is the Tornado Trackers podcast. The Tornado Trackers are storm chasers Jeremy Heyman, Jeff Mangum, and me, Gabe Cox.
Hey, I'm Jeremy.
I'm Gabe.
And I'm Jeff.
And this is the Tornado Trackers podcast. Thank you so much for joining us today. We are super stoked to talk more storms. This is a podcast about storm chasing, weather, and friendship.
Friends.
We are three longtime friends who also chase storms together and text each other constantly about weather and share forecasts. And if you know anybody like that in your life, this podcast is for you. So welcome. We're happy to have you. Today, we're going to talk about a crazy storm that we chased about 5 years ago.
One of the craziest.
All-timers for sure. But before we get into that, how are you doing, fellas?
Doing good. Really admiring everyone's setup tonight. Mm-hmm. I'm enjoying what I'm seeing, especially Jeff's candle. He's got candle lit.
Listen, anyone in my life knows that I'm a candle fanatic, and it doesn't mean I spend a lot on candles, but my wife knows when I go to a store, I'm always coming back with a candle. I don't care how much it costs. This one tonight is orange zest and sea spray.
Ooh.
So,
okay.
You really get that sea spray? Is that like
that's
heavy on the sea spray?
Florida beach right there.
Yeah, that's actually what it's going for. It just smells real good. My mood and my vibe is real positive right now.
I can sense it.
Where does that rank on like the scale of candles? Like 1 to 10, 10 being, I don't know, like the volcano candle from Anthropology. Does anybody out there know that?
Yeah, I do know that one. Unfortunately, I know that too well. It's number 7. I've already rated it. And the top 5 are Christmas and holiday season candles. They take the top 5.
The best.
Yeah. There is a cucumber fresh that I love. That's number 6, but that's neither here nor there. So we're at number 7 tonight.
We'll keep checking in. On candles.
So sad.
Here, I love candles too. We are 3 sensitive men. I think that will come across. We like things like that. Cozy accoutrement, I think, is what you want to call them. Yeah, accoutrement. Yeah, absolutely. Well, glad to see you're doing great. Stoked to talk tornadoes today with y'all. Let's dive right into the topic at hand. Today we're going to talk about the incredible May 9th, 2016 Wynnewood EF4 tornado and the accompanying outbreak. Just an unbelievable storm, even if we weren't there, but we were there, front row center, and it was just a wild, wild, wild day. Fellas, like what just hits you right away when you hear Wynnewood EF4?
Man, well, if y'all remember right, that was the end of just a short 3-day chase trip for me, and it just didn't feel like a tornado day. It was gloomy and cold, and that's not what you want when you're looking for tornadoes. So I had very low expectations, but man, you guys remember once we started seeing storms pop, how fast things happened?
Yeah. I mean, things popped fast, and alluding to what things were like before that, Jeremy and I, we were eager to see you because we haven't all gotten to chase together all that often. Like usually it's 2 of us together or one of us somewhere and the other one somewhere else.
Yeah.
And so this was one of the first times in a while the 3 of us were going to meet up and get to spend the whole day chasing together. But Jeremy and I spent the late morning in Sherman, Texas. So right on that Red River, Oklahoma, Texas border. And we were eager. Like I think about storm chasing and the roller coaster of emotions that it is. And for Jeremy and I, from 10 a.m. till 1 p.m., we had gone through everything already. I think we had been expecting to see 20 tornadoes, and then 3 hours later thinking we should drive back to Austin and not make a waste of the day.
Yeah.
It was not only overcast, but it was foggy. It was mist, and it wasn't even rain. It was just like a mist. And so we were sitting there thinking, is this going to be a bust? Mm-hmm. And it wasn't until we met up with with you, Gabe, and Scott, where we decided we need to be patient with this.
Yeah, I'm glad, Jeff, you remember us sitting and waiting for a long time. I was definitely going to bring that up if you didn't, because it was very emblematic of storm chasing, of the highs and the lows that can happen in sequence, very close to each other within an hour, within 30 minutes. There's a lot of ups and downs that happen as you anticipate, as you fall into pessimism and then back into optimism. And that it's an emotional roller coaster for sure. But that morning we were just like, oh man, I remember like I think we were in like a Best Buy parking lot or something. Just,
Yeah.
just waiting and waiting.
We were buying gear. We kept walking in to buy more gear.
You could tell we were bored. Yeah. We were just buying stuff. Yeah, that's so funny. I think that day showed me just what a next level sort of forecast read can do for optimism, because we met up with Scott, and he is a extremely talented storm chaser and forecaster, and he was super optimistic. He's a very optimistic guy, and he was just like, it's go time. And we were like, okay, we'll follow. And that's storm chasing. You just gotta, put your pride aside and follow the leader sometimes. And it paid off big time.
Great. It's looking like a pretty good day on the upward boundary. How you doing, man? Jeff, Scott. Nice to meet you.
How are you?
Awesome. So the Toyota trucker's in the basement.
Yeah, man.
This is awesome.
It was so interesting because we're all looking at radar and satellite and trying to understand, okay, what's happening and where. And there was one blip on the radar near Wynnewood, which it shows that there's the beginning of a tower, a supercell trying to develop, but on the early stages. And there was one blip, and I remember all of us coming together and Scott saying, "That's going to explode." And I remember thinking, "That's a blip, man."
Yeah, and by the time we got there, it was a full-blown supercell, and we pulled off of I-35. It's a major highway that goes north and south. We got gas, and I remember pulling out of the gas station parking lot, and Jeremy just looked over. I was fiddling with my gear, making sure that I had batteries and everything ready to go, and I just heard, "Oh shoot, there's a tornado." We had just pulled out of the gas station, and sure enough, once we got past the tree line, there it was.
Yeah, I remember it was a dark gray multi-vortex tornado. I won't, pulling out of that gas station, I'll never forget, it just happened. And up to that point, I had never seen a tornado before that, and chased a ton, waited, had a ton of busts, had a ton of long drives home, and it just happened. And it was unreal. Really, really unreal.
I think that's something I would love to hear more about, because that being your first tornado, I'm just curious, when we're driving, I remember you saying, "Wow, wow, wow, wow." Like that is etched into my mind.
There it is, baby. Wow, wow, wow. Let's go, boys. It was very dreamlike. It was absolutely surreal. You get in those modes where you're like, the craziest stuff around you is happening, but you feel like completely at peace. You're just like, that moment where my body and brain were like, I guess this is happening. This is really crazy. And it was out of body for sure. I don't think I was feeling anything. I was numb. I was driving. I wanted to get y'all good shots. And the roads were perfect for this chase. The road network, that's not always a guarantee. So everything just lined up to be this perfect chase event. But yeah, to answer your question, Jeff, it was surreal. It felt like a dream the entire time. And whenever I go back to look at footage, I kind of am teleported back to that same place.
That is the strongest tornado I've ever seen. And really, I had only seen. I had that first tornado experience that I talked about in the previous episode, which was the EF0. But my first plains tornado was only 2 days before with Scott Peak. in Ray, Colorado. And so I was in the same mental space as you, Jeremy. And let's set the stage for people who are listening about what we were seeing. I mean, we ended up separated from Scott. So, our team's still kind of young. Jeff was the only one who had a legitimate amount of tornado experience at this point in the car. And, we were still kind of noobs at it. And so we're separated from Scott, and we come up over this hill, and here's this black beast of a tornado. And I remember hearing it as we're pulling up this hill. And I was a little bit disoriented. I wasn't sure exactly which direction we were looking. So I was freaking out a little bit in the back seat, kind of like, hold on, guys, let's not go any further. Listen to it. Oh my God. Just on the other side of this hilltop, it began shredding trees, and we saw the power lines pop, and you could hear this. And I know a lot of people call it a roar. A lot of people call it, it sounds like a train. To me, it sounded like a jet engine.
Yeah.
It reminded me a lot of, I'd go to air shows with my dad, and that was a sound, especially later on when we got really close. But it was just, a roar is an understatement. It was like standing under a waterfall or by a jet engine.
Yeah.
And man, it was intimidating, to say the least, to be that close to something so powerful.
And it had some interesting behavior too, because in our footage, you can see it either kind of stop or move backwards a little bit. Yep. I mean, at that perspective, it can be tough to tell what it's doing. We were kind of like really close to it. So there are moments where in the footage where we're like, okay, we're not quite sure what it was doing.
Slow down. Stay right here. It's moving a different direction.
There's a moment in that chase. I'm eager to hear what y'all's thoughts are about it. It has reached its maximum speed. You could tell it was as powerful as it was going to get. And we had this perfect view, just 100 or 200 yards away, if that, from watching it cross over the road. And you know what I'm talking about, where you could actually see the spin, like the speed of the spin, which may sound a little bit ridiculous to say, but you could see the motion of the tornado on the ground. What do y'all remember about that? Because that was ridiculous.
Yeah, that was a moment, talk about out-of-body experiences. My brain could not comprehend seeing things move at the speed that they were. So at that moment, we watched an entire tree get tossed over the road. We saw either part of a roof or an entire roof fly over the road. And then the telephone pole that was on the road snap and get slammed down into the ground. And, you hear the numbers, you hear the wind speeds with tornado reports, and you get the number assigned to it and EF whatever. But until you see something moving at 200 miles an hour through the air, not even on the ground, your brain will have a hard time comprehending what it's seeing, because it's just so otherworldly, surreal. Any one of those synonyms, I mean, you just cannot fathom what you're seeing. And then add on to that, at that point, we were so close, the roar, we were having to yell to hear each other. Yeah. It was so loud. Go.
I've been sitting here listening to you talk and trying to think of even like a metaphor or like a similar sort of like experience to compare it to. Like there just really isn't in terms of like visually seeing things that, and I'm sure we will talk about this time and time again. Seeing things that to our brains are permanent. Right, like the 50-foot oak tree or the 2-story house, or your brain sees that and it says, "Oh, that's a permanent fixture to the earth."
Right.
And why would your brain ever think otherwise? That would be crazy. Yeah. And then to see them tossed in a way that, you can't even like I'm thinking of a metaphor, like throwing a football or throwing a baseball or knocking over Legos or something. Like it's not even not even close to a comparison. And so it's just so it's otherworldly. I mean, a phenomenon is the best way to describe it. Just an absolute
and hypnotizing. It's you see all these videos of people just standing and watching a tornado come straight at them, and it's easy to see the footage and judge them for it. But when you're there in person, and we've seen multiple tornadoes now, and it doesn't change. It's completely hypnotizing when you see the sky and the earth moving circular at that speed. Like, it just is, hypnotizing is the best word I can come up with. It will just lock you dead in your step and arrest you.
That's a good way of putting it. I think the word that comes to mind for me is it humbled me. And I think there's not a lot of things that I think people would admit humble them, because I think we all have this access to so much video or, information about things. But, until you're there, you don't really get a concept of it. There were about 10 seconds there where I remember not being able to breathe, because just like you said, Gabe, my mind did not have a place to put the speed in which that was happening. And then in that moment, you start thinking, wow, so this is what it would be like if a person was in there.
Yeah. And we later found out that tornado, there was a fatality associated with it. It happened not long after we got cut off by power lines and trees down over the road. There was a mobile home that got hit, and one person died in that tornado. And so for me, that was my first tornado that I chased where there was a fatality associated with it. And that stuck with me. That thought haunted me for a long time after that tornado, to know that somebody lost their life in a storm like that.
Hold on. No. Their power pole's falling right there. Don't go. Stay right here. It's probably going to go back across. Look at that. Look at the horizontal vortices.
Watch your head.
At one point, Jeff, you pointed out that you could smell the tornado, and there was so much going on. There was debris raining down on us. I had been hanging out of the car at one point to film, and I noticed pieces of metal flying over the car. So I immediately got back in.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, just right overhead. So there was debris everywhere, and I visually was overwhelmed. I had not tapped into my sense of smell at that point until Jeff mentioned something, and sure enough, I mean, Jeff, you can describe it. You were the one that pointed it out. It was surreal.
Yeah, it reminded me of like when someone would mow a lawn and you walk outside and it's fresh grass, but it wasn't just the grass; it was the trees, it was the bark, it was everything spinning in the air, and you could smell the trees, and you don't even have to have experience with tree smelling to know what you're smelling. Does that make sense? It's like it just became so obvious that everything we were visually seeing, all these trees being flung into the air and ripped in half, and I mean large oaks. The three of us had kind of different responsibilities. Jeremy, I remember that day you saying, I want to drive. And for me, I was like, please, I want you to drive, because I just want to film with like 40 cameras and probably get all of them wrong. And then, so I'm in the passenger seat, you're driving, and Gabe's in the back seat finding every which way to film.
And barking orders that weren't necessary. I was in pure director mode. I think that's unfortunately natural. It didn't have anything to do with the documentary at all.
You are a filmmaker, bro. Yeah, you know how and when to get a shot.
Every time I watch the footage, I feel the need to text you guys an apology for how vocal I was about what we should be doing.
Turn. Go left. Right now. Go, that's Scott right up there. Go. Go. You're clear. Go.
Just like where my mind was at, I was in awe. I mean, we all were in awe, but Jeremy's driving, so he can only be in so much awe. Like he's having to look at stop signs. I'm not paying attention to stop signs.
Yeah.
He's had to make sure that we're driving safe and we're, obeying the law and we're being good representatives of storm chasing. I am simply trying to capture this overall scope the best I can. But if that's all there is, there's not really a lot of direction. So we actually needed you, Gabe, to be saying, take a left. Nope. Yes. No. Yes. Go up. Do a flip. So I thought that was pretty cool to see how our team came together with our different personalities and dynamic. I thought that was really helpful.
Yeah. And honestly, we've been complimented before on our footage for how little we talk during a chase. And comparatively, that's true. But there's a lot of vocalizing in the car, which is necessary. I will say that for people who watch our footage and do hear the way that we speak to each other, when you're in a situation like Wynnewood, you want to over communicate what is going through your brain. There's no internal processing at that point. Like, everyone needs to know what's on everyone's mind, and that's part of being situationally aware.
Yeah, I think we had developed a lot. Obviously, just as friends, developed a lot of trust.
Yeah.
And that just makes things all the better. I can't imagine chasing with people who I don't trust. Like, that just sounds like a nightmare.
So we have a lot of comments on YouTube pointing out the fact that the footage is extremely shaky. We had a lot of cameras in the car. A lot of them we would consider B cameras, ones we weren't really paying attention to very much, because we had an A camera that was locked onto the windshield.
We drove as far as we possibly could until the power lines didn't allow us to. And it literally was in that moment where we were turning around and I was like, okay, I'm going to push pause on the footage because we're about to turn around. And when I look at it, I notice there's no red dot. So then I start recording, and I didn't have it in me to say that to you guys yet because I was already dead inside. My soul had been completely wiped out. And so I took that camera and I held it out the window. So at least I got, 30 seconds of footage with that camera, but it missed the entire tornado. I want to throw up right now as we have this conversation.
As someone from a film background, I typically really love going in with minimal equipment to a situation like that. But that is the one day that I am glad we all had multiple cameras going. We had iPhones, we had DSLRs, we had GoPros. And so what we lost with that camera, we made up and pieced together with all of our other cameras, thankfully. Yeah,
it really is a Murphy's Law sort of situation. Like camera gear, I feel like, what can go wrong will go wrong. And you just multiply, like, it's anything that you have to like press record on in a moment like that. Like, it's going to be the last thing you think of, you know. It really is. Yeah. And that's kind of like the amazing thing about these events is like, you get one chance, get one chance. And that's it. And like,
in the chaos of the moment, something's going to get forgotten.
It is.
Y'all dudes, I feel like, are more camera savvy than I am. Like, is there anything you can pinpoint as learning moments from today or from Wynnewood that you took away, other than, press record? But like, are there any like lessons that you can think of that you explicitly took away from that day?
For me personally, I think we all are in the same place, but you're trying to record the events and document the day so that when people are watching it, they feel like they're in the car with you. Like, that's the goal. And so for me, when I do press record, I want a dash cam that's steady, because I want something that says, okay, if you were completely calm and not doing anything else, here's the view you would have. Then I always have a GoPro now that I'm making sure is on, because I want the whole, like, one of my favorite things about tornadoes is not just the tornado or zooming in on the ground, but watching the insanity that's going on in the clouds.
Yeah.
And that's one of my favorite things about what a GoPro does. It captures what's happening on the ground, what's happening with the tornado, and then the mesocyclone just spinning above it is so breathtaking. And then that frees me up to have my phone or a different camera, and I can have it shake all I want. Like I can do whatever I want with it because I know I have one or two other cameras that are steadily taking what I want. So I'm constantly trying to create opportunities to video a storm so that whatever I'm holding in my hand, I don't feel bound by. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I want to enjoy what I'm seeing because I know even if I foul up the video, what's in my hand, because I might be freaking out, there's two other cameras that are capturing different elements of it consistently.
Yeah.
How do we explain the smoothness of Jeremy with his left hand holding his iPhone, and that whole footage is just butter.
Not even looking at his phone. He just had it pointed in the right direction the whole time.
It's like butter, baby.
I don't know how that happened. That's insane, truly, because I wasn't looking through it like the view. Like I wasn't looking at the screen at the same time. You know, I was driving, so pure luck. And I think that was the first iPhone that shot in 4K, so that's pretty rad.
Yeah,
that we captured that too. And really a sad story. So I edited that footage and then put it up on our YouTube, and years later, Apple actually came knocking and they reached out to me and they were like, hey, we love that footage. Do you have the raw of that? And I did not have the raw of that anymore. And it was, I didn't know what they wanted to use it for or what. I think they were just impressed maybe that one of their cameras captured it, but that was a huge regret. That's my not pressing record moment for sure.
Yeah.
Which taught me a huge lesson of just like, hey, like this is precious stuff. Like, don't take it for granted. Store it well, archive it well, have it on a couple hard drives if you can. Yeah. Like even talking about it right now, like I'm in pain. Like I'm in pain right now because that would have been cool. Like that would have been rad to be like a featured something by Apple. So so many highs, so many lows from this day.
So that day there was an outbreak. I mean, we saw 5 tornadoes that day. So that was the first. But what I remember was I thought a really good lesson learned for me that day. I was trying to upload footage after that. The problem was there was a half-mile to mile-wide tornado that was forming about 15 miles away. I remember looking up, and y'all had been working for like 20 minutes to get us to this next tornado. And I look up going, wow, is there a tornado over there? And y'all are like, what do you think we've been doing, dummy? Like we've been trying to track this tornado. So I one of my regrets of that day is actually not letting the Wynnewood footage just set to the side and be present. And that's been a very big lesson learned in chasing for me.
Yeah. Yeah, I wish I would have learned that lesson that day. It took me a little bit longer, but that's a huge thing for me too, is enjoy the moment when you're in it. Like take it in because it doesn't last forever. And it's an extremely rare thing that you're seeing.
Oh, we did talk about how Joe Exotic was saddest. Have you seen that footage from the documentary?
Yeah.
He's on his four-wheeler chasing
on his four-wheelers.
Yeah. He's like, there's nothing you can do. He was on the other side of I-35 on his four-wheeler with because he was filming everything at the time. If you watch that documentary, he was recording everything, and he can see the Wynnewood EF4 from on an overpass. Pretty amazing. I remember watching that documentary and being like, oh, I was there. I was close to that thing. I was on the other side of the road, chasing that tornado. That was a wild documentary, but just another thing to add to it to make it even crazier. All right, fellas, thank you so much for the stories today. It's incredible to relive. Again, go check out our footage online. Our YouTube page is youtube.com/tornado trackers. Beautiful stuff shot by Jeff and Gabe primarily. They're incredible videographers. Check us out on Twitter as well. We're Tornado Trackers, and on Instagram. And our website is tornadotrackers.org. We would love to hear stories from your life, weather stories. Everyone has a weather story. Write those in a review on Apple Podcasts, and we'll check those out. Or you can submit them through our website, tornadotrackers.org. We'd love to read them on the air. That would be so fun. Thank you for joining us, y'all. I've been Jeremy, joined by Gabe and Jeff, and we are the Tornado Trackers, and we will catch you next time.